Good evening from Muncie. Shma Kolenu. We spoke about the introduction to the bracha last time. Now we're going to start the bracha itself. The Dover Shalom says the arousal of mercy can take place either if someone hears a moan or a call of anguish, even if the person doesn't know what the moan of anguish or moan or groan is about. Alternatively, so a person can perceive and understand the character of the event or the trauma which has befallen the person who is afflicted by it, even if you do not hear the sound of his anguish. Or it's possible that the person who is being afflicted requests salvation, even though he doesn't say it in a groan or a moan or a mournful voice, and the character of his affliction is not clear. Now, sometimes you have all three together. So Shma Kolenu is that which we are moaning and groaning. No akim b'nei nachim. A kol is an undifferentiated sign, undifferentiated voice, undifferentiated sound. That's what I have to say. Undifferentiated sound. It doesn't necessarily have a words, sentences. It's a call of anguish. Chus v'rachim oleinu means pay attention to the nature of our afflictions. That is what we daven and ask, enunciate, and verbalize our request for your salvation. So these are the three things, three opening phrases here. And this is Shma Kolenu is some of a catch-all bracha. The Anaf Yosef says this bracha is generic, comprehensive, koleles, he says, and therefore you can daven here in anything you want. But he says you shouldn't make your request so long that you miss kedusha. As a result, once you miss kedusha anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. And therefore, he says it's better, if missing kedusha is an issue, to make your private tefillos before you ratzon at the end of the Shema Esrei, kind of tzor, in order to be able to that if he has to answer kedusha or baruch hu or Shmei Rabbah, he can immediately say Yilu Ratzon and answer the kedusha or whatever. And it's appropriate for every person to daven every day on his needs and on his parnasa, his livelihood, and also that the Torah should not desist from his mouth and his children and his children's children, and that all of his descendants should be Ovdei Hashem in truth, and nobody chas v'sholom should go off the derech in his progeny, and anything that you want to that your heart wants. Or rather your heart requires. Now, before we go further and give the examples he gives here, this is all, by the way, is from the Chai Adam till now. The next part will be from the Aros Dvash. But I heard once from a Rav, specifically Rabbi Reuven Fink in the youngest of New Rochelle, that he bemoaned the fact that people add in every day the vidui and the prayer for parnasa, which appear in some sidurim in Shma Kolenu, because it becomes rote. And there's a good point to this. In other words, whatever Chazal told us we have to daven every day, we have to daven every day. And regardless of whether we have kavanah, it becomes rote, habitual, we still have to do it. Chazal told us, they required us to do it. But whatever is not required by Chazal, you want it to be significant. You want it to be something which is meaningful and not just words. And therefore, if you add on every day, every tefillah, the same vidui, the same request for parnasa, it loses its pathos. It loses its unique quality of supplication. And therefore, he advocated for not saying it every day. I don't know if he was aware of this Chai Adam when he said it, but I would tend to agree with him that this is in fact the case. This should be reserved, not necessarily for rare occasions, but for occasions when you can have a special kavanah on it, when you're special short of money that month, or when you really know that you did something wrong, which requires vidui, not just to insert it by rote every time you daven Shmona Esrei. So the Yaros Dvash gives some examples of things you can daven before. Let's say you yourself need a shidduch, or your children need a shidduch. You can daven to Hashem here, Shma Kolenu. If you need to go, if you're involved in commerce, you can daven to Hashem that you should be successful, and that Hashem should guide you in the Derech HaYashar, which I assume means Derech HaYashar both in terms of success in the business activity and Derech HaYashar in terms of honesty in the business activity. And many people are familiar with Rabbi Breuer's famous statement, Beser Glat Yausher als Glat Kausher. The better that the person should be meticulous about Glat Yosher, honesty, than Glat Kosher in his food. Of course, if Chas v'sholom you have some anguish, some tzara in your household, they have to daven. If you have some simcha, you should daven that you should not sin as a result of the simcha, and it should not become a simcha which has anguish following it. And anything you daven, you can daven in your own language. Now, even if you're kind of stuttering through it and you don't know really how to compose your thoughts, it's Rachmana Liba Boya, because Baruch Hu looks for the heart, and therefore he says you can speak about. You don't have to be eloquent, or you can just, even if Akdashon Lashon Ileg, which is broken speech, and even if you can't daven in Hebrew, you could say your request in Shma Kolenu in another language, and this is precious before Kodesh Baruch Hu, as if you daven eloquently and articulately, and it with a pleasant demeanor. The way he puts it is, "Hu chaviv Kodesh Baruch Hu kilu here bali spalel," as if you daven at length, b'lashon rachav, in a broad expression of safa and clear way of articulation, uni'imat sacha, and a pure tune. The Chai Adam, however, disagrees. That was the Arasvash. The Chai Adam disagrees, and he says that if you don't know how to speak smoothly Hebrew, so then you could say it in I made a mistake. Sorry. The Arasvash says you should daven in Hebrew even if you say it b'lashon ileg. He discourages davening in a foreign language. He says specifically, even if you have to mumble and stumble and grope for the wording, you should still daven in Hebrew. And since you're davening Lashon HaKodesh, it has a special impact. It's the Chai Adam who disagrees. Chai Adam says that if you don't know how to speak Lashon HaKodesh clearly, and you can't compose your field properly, then you should say it even in Lashon Ashkenaz, Yiddish or German or English, of course, as long as it's Mikiros Libo, from comes from the walls of your heart. And it's better to say it in a foreign language with kavanah than saying in Hebrew without kavanah, because tefillah is halachically you could say it in any language whatsoever. So let's go back to the bracha itself. Shma Kolenu, Hashem Elokeinu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously is the midas Yud-Kei Vav is midas harachamim or chesed, and Elokeinu is midas hadin. So in this case, we would have in mind Hashem. You are Elokeinu. In other words, your midas chesed is behind and should come through the midas hadin. So Shema Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem who manifests himself in Elokim should manifest himself with the chesed, which is in the name Hashem. Chus v'rachem aleinu. Chus means to have us, to find us, to give us shelter, like machaseh. So chus means to shelter us, but it doesn't necessarily mean to have specific rachmanus on us. In other words, to shelter and then take pity, right? To sort of to envelop and then deal with us directly. Chabel b'rachamim ratzonas filoseinu. You can have mercy on somebody, and you don't really want to do anything for that person, but you have mercy anyways. A poor guy. You see somebody who's poor, but chas v'shalom, disgusting in some way, shape, or form. So you have rachamim, but it's not really ratzon that you have to give that person. Sometimes you have ratzon to give a person, and it's not out of rachamim because that person is somebody who you want to give to because you admire that person or you have some other vested reason for giving that person, but it's not barachamim. So ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu both barachamim, with mercy, and b'ratzon, and with desire to give, as tefillos are tefillos, which of course is not, we're going back on all the tefillos. This is a cumulative bracha, going back on all the tefillos which we've said till now, all the bakashos we've said now till now in Shmona Esrei. Ki kel shomea tefillos esachel nimata. Kel, but it goes back to the first bracha. Kel means the highest power, and the highest power of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, is in this sense, is that he is a shomea tefillos, which is a tremendous chiddush that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so above and beyond and transcendent of this world. Nevertheless, it comes down. Any place you find the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there you find his humility that he descends to have what to do with this world. Unlike in other ancient religions which held that the deities are not that concerned with this world. So Kikel, one of your tremendous, awesome powers is Shomea Tfilos V'Sachanunim Ata. Okay. Now this is all me speaking. Going back to the Eitz Yosef here, he says that he has an interesting approach. He says in Maseches Tainus, the Shmuel Katan, it says Shmuel Katan decreed a Tainus for rain, and the rain came before sunrise, and the nation wanted to say that it was praiseworthy for the congregation. So he said, no, it's not praiseworthy for the congregation. I'll give you a mashal. It's like an ebed, a slave who asks for a reward from his master, and the master says, give it to him, I don't want to listen to him. The Gemara goes on to say that so once the rain came after they davened, and then the Shmuel also said it's not a mila. It's like a master who says, I don't want to hear this anymore. Give it enough. But in any event, so no, I'm not sure if that's what it says. But in any event, also a negative thing. So this is what we say, Shma Kolenu Hashem Elokeinu, then Chus Rachem Aleinu. Okay, so we want the Kodesh Baruch Hu to hear our davening, but with Chus V'Rachem Aleinu, not out of enough. Give it to them. Or alternatively, we say Shma Kolenu means even though we don't know the true kavanah of the things which we said in all the tefillos and all the hints and secrets, nevertheless, listen to the expression of our voice, and you find the kavanas and the secrets and the remazim in those things. And in fact, the halacha is, as we know, you don't have to have kavana perush hamilos except for the first bracha Shmona Esrei. So basically, saying to Kodesh Baruch Hu, you know what? We might not understand what we're saying, or we might not have full understanding. Imakablet, Kamo Tfilah Zaken V'Rogil, as if our tefillah was outstanding. And that which it says Chus Rachem Aleinu, two expressions, has to do with two responses, responding to two poverties from which we suffer. We have anius das, our intellect is weak, and anius tzarchenu, and we have needs which make us weak. And that's Kabel Rachamim V'Ratzon Tfiloseinu. Rachamim corresponds to our needs, and Ratzon corresponds to our lack of intellect in our davening. And nevertheless, you should have Rachmanis upon us regardless, because we can't really fully understand what we're saying. But you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have the capacity to hear what's in the heart and what we want. And as we always say, our will is really to do your will. Now, we have impediments. So you accept that feels as if there are no impediments. And therefore, we come out to Shivenu. Right? Please don't send us back empty-handed. And we'll stop here for tonight and finish Shma Kolenu next session. Okay? Have a good evening. Good night. See you in New York.